This is the Snaith family plot. John and Anna Snaith came from England to Montreal, where they very soon afterwards died. Their three sons, Frank, George, and William, were bound out, but Frank, who died December 7th, 1865, ran away to New Bedford, Massachusetts, and worked on the whaling vessels for several years. He went to Prescott, Ontario, and married Jane Home from Scotland. A daughter, Emma, 1855 to 1856, is buried with him here on this plot. His brother, George, who grew up in Montreal, then came to Massena to continue the operation of the tin shop and hardware store Frank had established in the area, where Cape Air Travel is now located in downtown Massena. Frank's son, George, married Mary Britton and became a druggist at the Stearns and Snaith store. He was a clerk and merchant for 65 years, a village trustee, a town collector, a prominent Republican, and a member of the Massena First Baptist Church. This is the Taylor family area where the Taylor family's buried, at least some of them, and it's looking pretty bad. It's in rough shape. The stones are all broken up. So let's read a little history here briefly of the Taylor family buried here. Reuel Taylor died November 6, 1849 at age 64. He was married to Elmira Wells, died 1861 at 42 years old, 3 months, 27 days. Daughter of Reuben Wells, 1752 to 1815, a Revolutionary War veteran in experienced severance. He built the Harrogate House at Massena Springs, where Romeo's liquor store is now located, for his sons, Parsons, and part of Springs Park. He's buried nearby. Oh, they're buried nearby are Henrietta, died June 2nd, 1841, aged 3 years, 27 days. A daughter, 3 years, and a son, Parsons, who died June 11th, 1848. They're right here at this plot. Ransom's the next. We're at number 9 of our tour, and this is the Klein family plot. Robert Klein, born 1846, died 1935. On Long Salt, S.O., whatever that means in this pamphlet, John and Anna Farlinger Klein. He came to Massena at age 17 and took up the blacksmith trade. After a 3-year apprenticeship with Horatio Clark, built a shop in the corner of Main and Water Street, and another in Louisville. He also built a large house on the corner of Maple Street in Maine. He was married twice, the first to Catherine Bush, 1842 to 1875, and secondly to Doris Bowles, 1852 to 1925. A son, Albert, 1874 to 1935, is buried here with them. He was an ardent worker at the Methodist Episcopal Church, a trustee and Sunday school teacher. He was also a renowned fisherman and guide. His grandfather George came from Canada in 1800 and built a shack where a Klopman store is now in downtown Massena. He cut timber and floated into Montreal as the area was fully wooded. He had 3 sons, and they built and owned the first boat to run between Massena and Ogdensburg. It was considered to be quite a privilege to be invited by one of the Klein boys to go to Ogdensburg on the sailboat to bring back goods for local merchants. We're now at the Garvin, Freeman, and Hurlbut plot. This stone here at the top is William S. P. Garvin, who was a Civil War veteran, and the Henry family took care of him before he died a few years. He died in 1914 on a personal note. So let's get back here and read from the booklet. William S. P. Garvin was born in Messina, August 2nd, 1826, died 1914. John Garvin came to Messina from Massachusetts after the War of 1812, which is his descendant, of course. He attended the first school on the corner of East Orvis Street and Center Street. His father was a contractor and a builder, and he followed in the same business. Mr. Garvin erected the First Baptist Church, the Bailey and Potter stores, the Clary House, and part of the old Messina High School building on Main Street. He also built the Grand Trunk Station at Prescott, Ontario. At the outbreak of the Civil War, he entered the service as a captain of the Company 142nd New York Volunteers and served through the war. When President Lincoln was assassinated, he was in Raleigh, North Carolina with General Sherman. His corpse having been south to join the famous general after his march to the sea when he was returning to intercept Johnston to prevent him from joining Robert E. Lee. He was mustered out as a major and returned to Messina, where in 1866 he was appointed Collector of Customs for the Port of Messina and held the position for 21 years. In 1887, he took charge of the coal business for J.L. Hyde. During the war, Elizabeth Freeman Garvin, born May 6, 1831 and died July 26, 1909, his wife, daughter of George and Susan Freeman, had a select school in her house while her husband was serving in the Union Army. Probably had school keeping was not a lucrative undertaking, and she had a difficult time balancing her budget, and the local grocer seized her parlor organ for payment of her debts. When Mr. Garvin returned home from the war, he redeemed the organ from Mrs. Garvin and was unable to forget her humiliation, and she never attended another church day on Sundays. But her husband attended the church. Henry Augusta Freeman died April 7th, 1828, age 15 months. And on the stone it says, "The fades a lovely flower, frail solace of an hour." Susan Hurlbut was the widow of George Freeman, widow of Rodney, and daughter of Rachel Broughton Malone, born in Vermont on October 14th, 1800, and died in April 13th, 1879. Rodney served in Captain Benjamin Williams' company, New York Militia, during the War of 1812. This is the Orvis Emerson Walden plot. This big stone at the top is Colonel U.H. Orvis, who was a big pioneer in this town. And let's read a little history here. It's actually a long one, but we'll get going here. Colonel Uriah H. Orvis, born 1785. By 1817, he had amassed a great amount of property here in Messina. In 1818, with J.B. Phillips, he started a mercantile business in conjunction with John Andrews, Benjamin Phillips, and James Stedman. In 1825, he was a trustee in the First Congregational Church. And in 1827, he erected a building for the Baptists on land later given to them by Mrs. Orvis. After the death of his first wife, Nancy Boynton, her body is in Messina Center Cemetery. He donated land for the West Orvis Street Cemetery. Right here, this whole cemetery, he donated land. That same year, he purchased mills located on Water Street. In 1830, built a stone mill with 3 runs of stone, which later turned into a woolen mill, where the Slavin's mill is now. He also operated a lime kiln and tannery on the corner of North Main Street and Center. He was president of the corporation to build plank roads, and in 1851-1852 was president of the County Agricultural Society. Laura Limes Emerson was his second wife. His parents being Cement Dyke, no dates on the stone, related to Sir Francis Dyke, a famous English explorer, and William Emerson. Left time, June 7th, 1846, related to Ralph Waldo Emerson. Orvis died June 24th, 1854, at the age of 69 years, as it says in this stone. And Laura died April 27th, 1880, at the age of 81. Nearby here is our David, a son, died October 23rd, 1848, age 23. An unknown Orvis, son and daughter Francis, died 1817, 1829, age 2 years. And Uriah, must be Uriah Jr., April 13th, 1821, age 3. And on the stone it says, "Happy in its infants only bless rest in peaceful slumber. Early rescued from the cares which no delights their worth theirs say." Daughter, Laura E., wife of Joseph Clary, died October 27th, 1844, age 19. And on the stone it says, "Be ye also ready, so fares the lovely bloom flower." Martha Emerson, daughter. And William, the first burial in the cemetery, was here in 1829, age 19. The last plot is that of Reverend G. Walden, a Presbyterian Baptist minister who was the pastor at the local Baptist church when the cornerstone was laid. And he died September 29th, 1867, at age 56. Mary Clarissa died April 28, 1843, age 1 year. J. Orvis Walden, a Civil War soldier, died in a rebel prison November 1861 at age 20, and he's buried here. And Clarissa L. Emerson Walden died June 25th, 1851, age 39, sister of Martha and Laura Limes Orvis. This is the Kingsley family plot, these two stones. Abigail Story, born in Massachusetts, wife of Eliza Kingsley, died December 7th, 1880, at age 93. Eliza Kingsley died 1844, age 81 years. He was born in Vermont and is a Revolutionary War veteran, right here. This is the Hubbard family plot, and right here is Calvert Hubbard, died April 21st, 1856, age 82 years, and his wife Betsy. Calvin, with Stephen Reed, built a sawmill and dam in 1803, and the first grist mill in Messina in 1808. He was the first postmaster in 1811 and town supervisor in 1812. He lived on Glen Street in here in Messina and was a licensed innkeeper from 1803 to 1811.